Yes, guys, thank you for listening to another episode of the Daily Dose podcast. Today, we have yet another very special guest on the show. We have who was once one of the newcomers of the year on Don't Flop and is now a successful radio DJ and host, SLEEPYGee / KXVU. What's going on, man?
What's good, man? What's good? This is quite fun, isn't it? I'm usually on the other side of these interview scenarios. I'm looking forward to this.
I can imagine, man, and thank you for taking the time to come on. I know you're very busy, so I appreciate it. But we'll jump straight into the battle rap related questions to start with, man. But
Cool, man.
for you, how was it that you got into battle rap originally?
You know what? It's a funny one because I think anyone from Brighton will tell you who's from sort of my generation, the way they kind of got into it will be exactly the same story. It's primarily because of the Rizzle versus Seaslin battle. Primarily because they're obviously two Brighton heads, and they were both at the same school as me. Like I actually went to junior school and primary school with Jordan Stevens a couple of years, but I think I was 1 year below him or 2 years below him. I can't remember which way around it was, which one it was. But yeah, when I obviously was growing up through school, they were both rapping like all the time, and this was pretty much during the period where our whole year group was like discovering if we wanted to do music or not, essentially. And obviously we saw that pop up, and it was at the time we were all sort of like 13, 14, watching that and going like, oh, this is crazy, oh my god, da, 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 da. And that maybe a bit later, maybe 16, 17, but we popped that sort of popped up on our screens, and we were kind of looking at it going like, this is mad, I want to look more deeply into this. And then you obviously go down the sort of rabbit hole quite early on of, at that point, the insane catalog that sort of Don't Flop had on the cards to begin with. And then pretty much came from pretty much that clash there was how I first kind of got into it. And I was very whenever I get into anything in life, I like to know as much about it as possible. I'm one of these annoying people that will just kind of keep digging and keep digging and keep digging. Like I'm like that with Tolkien, for instance. Like I'm a proper Tolkien nut. Like I can name so much about what happens throughout the entire of Tolkien's like Legendarium. Same with Marvel. Same with even Doctor Who to an extent. And then of course with the sort of musical side of things that it's kind of my job to know about now. Yeah, I just like to know a lot about what I'm interested in. So that kind of made me look deeper and deeper into the sort of the category of rap performance that is battle rap, and then ended up very kind of quickly gravitating a lot more towards the kind of Canadian and US sort of stuff. Like I was a big sort of follower of what was happening with King of the Dot when they were doing, I think it was WD4, the first kind of big Canadian event I watched. I was watching a little bit of URL to begin with as well, but it was primarily sort of King of the Dot was like the thing I was watching a lot of and kind of taking in a lot of. Obviously watching the UK stuff as well as it was developing, but yeah, just pretty much following it from there, and then just getting very involved from like a kind of fan perspective. I mean, I went to one event in Brighton. I was mainly watching online, but I went to one event in Brighton, which was the it wasn't a very the card wasn't like super stacked. I think it was Hatter versus, might have been Bleak or something like that. I can't remember who it was, but it was like quite a sort of, not like a super stacked up card, if you know what I mean. Everyone on there was a good performer or whatever, but not like kind of like headlining battle events sort of things. And I think it was Prince Kong Most Prob maybe was one of the other ones on there. I can't really remember which ones it was, but I went to that and then just enjoyed it. And then I was writing at the same time anyway through doing sort of Soapbox, which is a company it's just still there. It's just not a very like active project at the moment. And I was writing about battle rap on that, like doing like a monthly sort of thing. And then I was going to events. I was going to a few of the London events. I went to one of the cable events. I think it was Set the Standard 7, maybe. I'm not too sure. But it was the big 2-on-2 event that happened at cable. I went to not Checkpoint. I went to began with a D, District or something like that. I can't remember what it was called, but it was another one. The second big event they did at
Distinction, is that right?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, this Distinction, the second big one they did at Ministry of Sound. And I went to a couple more of the Brighton events that had popped up. One of the Seaside events, I think it was Seaslin and someone. I can't remember who it was. Seaslin and someone went against Boski and Big Sarters. No, Seaslin and Gizmo. That was it. And then yeah, alongside that as well, like through the Soapbox stuff I was doing, we were very kind of involved with Brighton's sort of hip hop community at the time anyway. And obviously I've come from a lot more of a sort of grime dance music background from with what I do. So I was very kind of getting into sort of Brighton's hip hop scene, interviewing a lot of the local people, like recording a lot of video content and mixing and mastering with them, reviewing a lot of the local content as well. So there was almost like this thing of seeing the sort of local heads represent on a sort of UK wide level was always really sick to see. And then, yeah, I just kind of ended up getting into it through all those different things. It was very much like an amalgamation. With me in life, I tend to find that everything I get into has like 2 or 3 reasons like behind it, essentially. So there we go. I hope that's not too long-winded an answer. We're going to be here all day, aren't we?
No, not at all, man. I like it. And like, so the event that you mentioned there with Bowski and Sarters against Seasling and Gizmo, that was the beach event, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So, a bit of an embarrassing story, but you might remember me from that event. It's the first event I ever went to.
No way.
Yeah, and I think I must have been 16 at the time because I'd not long finished like my GCSEs and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I was living like just outside Bournemouth, so it was...
Okay, so not too far, like a little bit down the road, but not like the other end of the country sort of
No,
distance.
exactly. So it was fairly local anyway, but I came over. I had like 8 cans for the journey or whatever, which I for some weird reason, and I know a lot of people share this, but the first event I was really nervous. Like obviously I'd been watching for so long. It's gonna
I
be
can
meeting all
understand that
these
though.
people, and like I got pretty like drunk on the way there. Turned up, was trying to show off a bit, and started smoking weed with a few people and that. And halfway through the first battle, which if I remember rightly was Jack Sexton versus someone.
Yeah, I remember that.
I pulled the biggest whitey ever.
Oh no!
And literally just collapsed on the floor. And if Prince Kong ever listens to this, he actually had to have a conversation with my my stepdad on the phone and get him to drive to Brighton and pick me up. So.
Oh my word, Prince Kong, the hero out here.
Yeah, and he's he'll forever be fondly in my stepdad's memory as well. I think, to be fair, I remember waking up the next day.
It must have been a bit of a shock for your stepdad.
Definitely, I remember waking up the next day and going downstairs, and my mum and stepdad were like, "So, why are you hanging around with men in their 20s called Prince Kong?" I was like, I don't really know where to go with this, to be honest. But,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, not the best time, to be fair, but from the few memories that I do have of that event, it was pretty good. Can you still hear me, man?
I can still hear you. Yeah, I think our line dropped slightly there, but there we go. We're all good.
There we go. Happy days. But yeah, but no, it's a good route into it, man. I mean, back in the early days of Don't Flop, I mean, Brighton was kind of the hub of battle rap in that sense. Like there was so many battlers coming from Brighton, and a lot of events were happening there and stuff. So it must have been really exciting back in the day.
You see, it was, but I won't lie. When Brighton was kind of like in its like heyday, shall we say, when it was like one of the most popular places to be, like where the like Eyes versus Tony D went down, like I wasn't really following it at that point. Like I knew it was happening, but it wasn't really at like the forefront of what I was doing. But I more than anything, there's just always been a very strong hip hop community in Brighton. Like that's something that is very, very laced into Brighton's sort of makeup. Like there's always been, I think Slip Jam was the longest running like rap event in the world for like how long it ran. It ran for like 21 years or something insane like that. And then you also had obviously High Focus was born out of Brighton. You've got people like Frankie Stew and Harvey Gunn down here who've been doing stuff for ages. You've obviously got like Rum Committee and everything they're doing. Ocean Wisdom's from down here as well. So there's just always been, from what I remember, there's always been a very strong sort of rap community in Brighton. So even though I wasn't necessarily watching the battles and going to the events as much then, primarily because I was a bit too young to actually go to them, if I'm being honest. But at the that you could always kind of tell that there was a real hip hop community going, like vibe going on in Brighton, I feel.
Yeah, no, I can see that, and like I'm a huge High Focus fan and stuff like that as well. So it's always been quite heavily linked with hip hop in that sense, I guess. But I mean, back then you had, Prince Kong was battling regularly. You had Seaslin battling quite often. ZT, was he from Brighton?
I think he was. Yes, I'm pretty sure he was. Who else did you have? You had Gizmo, obviously Most Prob as well. Hatter was still battling at that point. There was quite a few of like the sort of original sort of names like on a regular basis. I mean, went to uni down in Brighton as well, so that's why there was such like that early affinity with what was going on down here. Yeah, there was a fair few. I mean, Rag and Bones from Brighton as well. He's clashed before. There was Lethal Junkie. He was from Brighton. He used to be my He used to be my host when I used to DJ like years ago, actually. So there's again, it's just that really strong link between Brighton and sort of the UK battle rap community in general. To be honest with you.
Nice. Yeah, definitely, man. And it's like what led to you eventually stepping up and battling yourself then?
I mean, it's pretty much the same story for anyone who's a fan, kind of long term. So I was at work, and I used to work in a kitchen. So I was obviously on the breakfast shift, and I was on my break, and I saw that they put an advert out saying if you want to try out, now's the time. We're accepting tryouts, and I remember looking at it, going, I'll apply for that later on. And then, or should I do it? I might apply for that later on. You never know. Because I'd already like rapped before. It wasn't as if I hadn't rapped like in my life. Like I'd been doing like on and off that alongside DJing for like a long period of time. Like I'd always been hosting events as well. Which is obviously different to rapping, but like just being able to perform in front of a crowd, like that's something that's always been a part of what I do. I think there's a video of me on YouTube of me hosting my friends when I was 15 or 16. I was hosting someone else's set because he was quite nervous to do the set, and I was like, "Do you want me to host and make it a bit better?" And that's always been something I've kind of done. So I've always been like someone who is okay with a microphone in front of them, whether it's hosting, whether it's like pre-recorded bars or anything like that, or just rapping in general. So when I was kind of like, I know how to rap. I'm a fan of this stuff. I write anyway, so I'm pretty sure I have a good grasp of like how to do what's going on here. And then I went home, and as I got home, I looked on it to apply, and they went, "We've now ceased submissions." And I went, "Oh, damn, that's a shame." But then, and I was like, "Oh, I probably missed my opportunity there." And then I think it was 3 days later, because they'd had so many submissions, they opened it up again, and I went, "Right, I'm throwing my name in. I'm doing it right now." Did it, and yeah, and got a try off the back of it, and yeah, the rest's all kind of history, to be honest with you.
Nice. I like it, man. And you did quite a few battles in the end, and obviously you were in the was it called the Top 8 tournament when you were in that?
No, so it was quite bizarre how it kind of worked out for me because I lost my tryout, but was the only tryout of the day. I think there was only 2 tryouts of the whole day when I choked. That infamous thing of like if you're gonna fucking choke, go home. There's no point you being here. That infamous reel where everyone chokes. That was the event I tried out at essentially. So I remember him going off on an absolute crunch. I told this story on my show actually, but he went off on this absolute like shouting fest, going, "Look, if you're gonna fucking choke, go home. Like, don't worry. There's no point you doing this. Like, get your shit together." And this was literally about a minute before I was supposed to clash. Now I was nervous as it was, but then to hear that and see everyone else choke, I was literally just like, "Oh, for God's sake, why have you done that?" That's just made my life like 10,000 times more difficult. But yeah, basically did that, and then from that clash, I lost to Craze, but because there wasn't that many solid people, they did it from the top 8 from both events, including Tally's tryout as well, and Tally beat Bizzo in his tryout, I think it was. So from that, Tally got into that top 8 tournament, I think it was, and then yeah, just in general, there was a good selection of people. I think it was Craze, Koj, Mr. Ree, a couple of other people in there as well. Wilsey got into it, I think. But yeah, in general, it was quite good. And I didn't actually get into that first top 8 because I lost my first clash against Integ. Not against Integ. I lost my first clash against Craze, who went on to, I think he got knocked out in the semi-finals by Mr. E, I think it was. And Ree went on to win it. So there we go. But yeah, I ended up battling Integ on the first day, and that was Bard. Sorry, I battled Bard on my first battle on that first day. Our class sort of got introduced to into a venue, and that was fun and it was good. I kind of introduced myself a bit, and then from that, then yeah, just kind of did a few more clashes. Did the Integ one, did Willsey, because me and Willsey were going back and forth. I mean, to be honest, it's quite funny that me and Willsey went back and forth a fair bit because I kind of initiated it, and now I'd say we're quite like, well, I wouldn't say we're close, but we're like we're good like associates of each other. Like we're both working radio full time now, so it's quite like a cool thing to see how that's sort of come full circle. But yeah, the that whole thing of just like clashing, doing a few. I think I did Tongue Twister. I did Integ. I did Bard. I did Willsey and someone else as well, I think, but I can't remember who the other one was. And then yeah, basically what happened was the next top 8 got announced, and it was based. One of the tryouts was at the Brighton event, and it was it was Brighton FC. I can't actually Prospects. That was his name. Sorry. And he who I knew anyway, and he basically got put into the top 8, and it was like cool. Well, we've got a Brighton representative there, and then suddenly, I don't actually know why, but he wasn't able to actually make the tournament, so they needed someone to replace him last minute. And this was, bear in mind, he was clashing Raptor. So I mean, the footage of this isn't online anymore, which is a real ball ache because it means it looks like I'm making it up, but I'm genuinely not. We basically last minute put a thing out on Twitter saying someone's dropped out, we need someone to fill in against the clash with Raptor, and you'll get put into the top 8 tournament. Anyone up for it? And I got suggested by a load of people because a lot of people thought I should have been put into the first one. And then yeah, I basically kind of went, yep, sod it, I'll do it on 3 days notice. And then yeah, ended up clashing Raptor at the Fiddler's Elbow and knocked him out essentially, which was quite madness because everyone was kind of putting Raptor on this kind of thing of he's going to be the next up, and eventually he did go on to be one of the best in the UK. You know what I mean? But it was kind of like everyone kind of expected him to win, and then obviously I turned up with some material I was really really happy with, and then and kind of knocked him out from there. So that's how I ended up getting put into that top 8. To be honest with you, I wasn't ever meant to be in a top 8. It was almost like getting held back a year. I kind of got held back a year and then got to kind of show off when I was the older kid, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, man, it was fun to watch it as well at the time. Like I used to love the tournaments that Don't Flop did and stuff.
Same.
So.
I think tournament structure is very much missing from the current layout of things. It's almost become it kind of went from being almost like Tekken to going more to like pro boxing, if that makes sense. Like it used to be a thing of like you'd have your tournaments and go against people until you get to the final, if you can get all the way through to the final. But now it's more a thing of you do the one-offs cards and then that's kind of it, which is fun, of course. But I think that competitive element of tournaments makes a huge difference.
Definitely, I agree, man. And personally, like I've had like 4 tryouts booked now, and they've just never happened for one reason or another. And I've just entered this year's Premier Battles Academy. And
oh wow!
It's exciting to be doing your first few battles in the format of a tournament.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
It's I'm really looking forward to that, and I think we need to see it more often. To be honest, like
I'd agree with that, man. I think that thing of tournament prep and like kind of going like, if I win, who am I going to be against in the next round, and and everything along those sort of lines. Like I think it adds a whole extra edge to it because you then have like favorites for people who are going to win it, and the favorite never wins it. Like it's that simple. The favorite literally never wins a top 8 tournament. I can't remember a single time where a favorite has won a top 8 tournament. So it always has exciting stuff. The Grand Prix over in King of the Dot as well, they were always really really fun. Although Arcane won both of them, it was still good to see how all the competition came through. You had the UFF Freestyle Friday thing as well on URL, which was really good to see. I mean, T-Top won one of those, Snow won one, and Ill Will won one. So it was quite like a good range of people winning. But yeah, I just think that tournament thing, it makes you be a lot more concise as well. And yeah, it's missing, I think. I definitely think it's missing.
Yeah, no, I agree, man, definitely. And I think for me personally, I'd like to see, now that Premier Battles have their own kind of title as such as well, I'd like to see a tournament for the number 1 contender.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I mean, just lumping. I think Yunnan versus Matter kind of makes sense. It's strange that it's never happened, I guess, but
Yeah, that is one that's strange. I think the thing about that kind of looking at, I can safely say in the UK, Yunnan's my favourite by an absolute country mile. He's always been my kind of favourite UK head. I just really like his approach to things. And I find it quite an interesting one, that because Matter's obviously very kind of slapstick. He's very not slapstick, but he's very kind of deadpan. He's very much like quite sarcastic in his approach, and traditionally that's an approach that Yunnan hasn't fared very well against. But then you saw what happened with Shuffle T, so it's like it's an interesting one to look at, and it's one you really can't call on paper.
No, I agree, and it's going to be a very interesting match. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that as soon as we're out of this weird stage that we're in at the moment. You know,
man.
but like
in my head for a second there, I was going, I swear that was meant to happen months ago, and then I've gone, oh yeah, it's lockdown. Of course, it's not happened yet. Like I completely forgot we were in lockdown for a second. Then,
if I remember rightly, I think it was meant to happen the weekend just gone.
oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, unfortunately, all events have been postponed for now. But like in terms of your battles personally, though, like you've done about 10 to 15 battles now. Is that correct?
I've done 14 in total, I believe.
One of them was very recently, right? So you came back on the recent
yeah, I
Don't
did.
Flop card in Brighton.
Yeah, I did. I went against a guy called Henry, who's a relative newcomer. He's one of the kind of people who's been sort of bubbling around that new Don't Flop pool of performers. And yeah, again, it was quite like a short notice thing. I've been going on. Danny had been hollering me for a while, basically saying like, "Would you come back to battling? Would you come back? Would you come back?" And he's kind of always maintained this kind of thing. He said it online a lot. Like now, when we were kind of in the height of it, was when UK battle rap was very much in its like peak. There were a lot of very very good names on a regular basis. There was like a solid upper middle tier. And because of that, people in our sort of class, like myself, Danny, and a couple of other people in our sort of range, were kind of not necessarily ever going to break through to that layer. Whereas now, because it's kind of thinned out a little bit, he's always maintained this thing that I would be one of the better people if I was to come back now. And obviously as well, like I think when I was clashing, I don't think people realized that I was still quite young when I was clashing. I think I was 18 through to 22 when I was like doing most of my clashing. So I was still young, you know what I mean? I wasn't like because I look a lot older than I am. So during that period, I was still quite young. I still didn't have much life experience as well. Like I barely could grow a beard at that point. Whereas now I'm a lot more comfortable as a person. You know what I mean? I'm a lot more confident in what I do. I talk for a job, for instance, which is one huge thing. I'm aware that I'm a loud person, and I'm aware that I'm a big person. So there's like elements of sort of like performance and stuff, and self-confidence more than anything else that I was very keen to kind of like have another go with. And then Rowan messaged me, WhatsApped me essentially, saying like, "Look, we've got a clash in Brighton. Would you be up for jumping on? I know it's short notice." And I went, I think it was 13 days. The notice was, and I was kind of going like, yeah, I was going, yeah, I'm kind of up for. I don't mind saying this. I literally said I don't want something that's going to be really really difficult. Primarily because I had so many other things on at that point. With working in radio, with label stuff, like we've been like obviously we've just announced this big deal, so that was very much at the forefront of what we were sorting out at the time. There was a lot of things on for me at the time, but I just went, you know what, I want to push myself and have a challenge doing it, and yeah, pretty much after a bit of back and forward, he suggested Henry, and I took about a day to think about it, and then went, yeah, you know what, I'll do it, and yeah, and it was fun, man. Like it's something that I've always held very very closely to myself. Like I mean, I like to think I've had my fair share of like good opponents. Like looking through the people I have gone against, like I've clashed. Who is it? I've done Shocks. I've beaten Shocks and Raptor. Whether people agree with it or not is another thing. I definitely beat Raptor. I think I just edged Shocks personally, but that's here nor there. I've also clashed Juan. Obviously, I lost very badly, but I did clash Juan. I've clashed Innuendo, Press One as well, who's now like an on-beat title holder. Like I've clashed 3 title contenders, which is quite like a mad thing when you kind of look back at it, and it's definitely not something that I'll look back and go, oh, I was underrated at the time, because I wasn't. I was very average at what I did, but like the catalog of kind of stuff I've built up over the year, it kind of made me go, look, I've been in these positions, I've done okay, but I've never really wowed anyone. So I kind of wanted to switch it around and then go, I'm going to try and wow people this time around, which was good. And yeah, for that entire time, the thing that I was getting into, I've never choked. I'd never choked once. I'd stumbled a couple of times, but I'd never forgot my bars, not once in that entire time. I'm meticulous with making sure I recognize stuff. And memorize things completely. But first time ever, I've properly forgotten what I was going to say. I had like a 4 or 5 second sort of stumble at the start of my round. In the second round, I did a flip for the first time. The first time I've ever done a flip that's really gone off, and it worked. And I was like, oh, I'm not used to this, because I can safely say I don't think I've ever been someone who gets a lot of reaction. Like, I'm someone who people will kind of head nod to and go, yeah, that's cool. But I was never like encapsulating enough, I don't think, to get like a massive reaction. Whereas now I'm a lot more, I've got that self-confidence and I've got these like things about me, which I definitely feel I'm able to kind of push a lot more out of my personality. I definitely feel that these are things I can now do. So when I tried to do a flip and I got this bit, I did a flip, got some reaction off it, primarily off like of how I performed it, like the cadence and stuff I did. I then got a load of reaction and I was like, I've never had this before. I don't know how to react to it. So that kind of threw me off. I mean, I gathered myself and then carried on. About 5 seconds later, I think it was. It was annoying that that's now on my record. But apart from that, yeah, it was pretty seamless. And I think as well, the fact it was 13 days prep after not performing for so long. I think it was. I was happy with it, basically. I think I won.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I personally, I do think you beat Raptor and Shocks as well, and
oh, well, there we go. That's all that matters. If we're on this podcast, that's all that matters.
Definitely, man. I think the Shocks battle is. I think Shocks has a bar in that is. I love Shocks.
Is it the lowercase bar?
No, it's the slip this G with the aid of my Manchester bar. Like,
oh yeah, that very funny.
I was like, what is he on about? Like, Shocks is one of my. I know it's a big call, but he's probably one of my all-time favourites. And
I don't think that's that mad. When you look at the people that have had like the big runs, like people who not all of my all-time favorites are like people that have been around for ages or had a lot of clashes. Like Calcium Kid's one of my favorites ever. He's had about 12 ever. You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily think having like an extensive back catalogue is any better than having numerous very good performances. You know what I mean? I think it's basically based on the moments you make, whether you're a great or not. And I definitely put Shocks into that bracket, especially for the UK, because I don't think he's ever had a bad performance.
he has, unfortunately, the Ilmac performance on World Dom was horrendous, to be honest.
Oh, you know what? That's mad, because Ilmac is literally my favorite in the world. Like, Yunan's my favorite from the UK, and Ilmac is my favorite battle rapper in the world, without a shadow of a doubt. And although Twerk's creeping in there, I've got to say. But I think, you know what it is? That may have just been removed from my memory, because I genuinely can't remember that ever watching that. But I probably will watch it now and then regret this whole passage of conversation.
So it was the World Dom event that they did in London about a year and a half ago.
Okay, yeah. Was it Steelyard?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember it.
And I kind of booked tickets off the announcement of Shocks Ilmac and was really excited for it. But unfortunately, like, I know Shocks had a lot going on at the time. And he kind of apologised on stage. He was like, look, I shouldn't have taken this battle. I've made a mistake, kind of thing. So it's a shame, because it could have been.
That could have been amazing as well. I think Ilmac's a fan of Shocks as well. So it's like, it was one that he was never going to underwrite for as well. So I don't think Ilmac's ever done a bad performance in the UK, to be honest.
No, and he's really good in the battle, but unfortunately, like Shocks, I think if I remember rightly, he choked all 3 rounds.
Oh, that's a shame, man. That's a real shame.
So it's not one that I've watched back, I don't think. But
yeah,
I mean,
that's a shame. That's a real shame.
For me, like at the time, Shocks was kind of revolutionary in UK battle rap terms for me, just because we didn't really have anybody that was just constantly punching like every 2 bars at that point. So
I mean, we sort of had people that have kind of like dipped in and out of it over the years, but there's never been, up until Shocks, I don't think there was ever a consistent punchline rapper. I mean, when DF was young, it was very much about like getting your punchlines out as quickly as possible. It wasn't really about the sort of 4-bar structure. It was almost like 2-bar, 2-bar, 2-bar. But that's sort of more, I want to say, Americanized style of punching is something that I think Shocks still. I mean, actually, no. I'd say actually, Soul now realistically is a punchline rapper as much as anyone, and he's probably the top dog for it. But yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing to look at.
Definitely, man. But yeah, I think that slip this G with the aid of my Manchester bar was probably the worst thing I've ever heard from Shocks, to be honest. So.
Now, shout out to Shocks, man. I think I've got a good relationship with Shocks. We don't speak too often, but we message every now and then over WhatsApp, like once every sort of like 9 months or something, and we'll say how you doing, you're good. But yeah, I've got a lot of time for the guy.
Yeah, lovely bloke, man. I've spoke to him a few times at events and stuff, and like he's always been like just sound to talk to and stuff. So he's unfortunately not on any socials anymore. So I hope he's doing all right. But
yeah,
huge fan of Shocks, man. But like you said, you've gone up against some amazing talent. I mean, for me personally, the only battle that I think, well, I do think Juan beat you. And...
Oh, bro, don't get me started on that. That was literally the moment I realized that I had not got anywhere near as much personality as I thought I had. It was a very it was a good moment of self-realization that clash. Like, I became better as a person in general because of that clash.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think Juan's ever lost, in my opinion. So
I think Soul Jitsu beat him, and I think O'Shea beat him, and I think Tongue Twister beat him.
I can't remember the tongue twister battle, to be honest, but I think
fifth birthday
O'Shea.
Weekend, I believe, or sixth birthday weekend.
Okay, I'm gonna have to rewatch that one, but I think he beat O'Shea personally, from what I remember. And
okay.
Yeah, I don't think Soul-Jitsu was even close, to be honest.
Maybe I'm biased then, because that was literally directly after the event that I got beaten at, because I was literally on stage going, "Avenge me!" like on stage. It was so funny.
No, yeah, for me, I personally, I'm gonna have to rewatch the tongue twister battle, but I don't think Juan's ever lost, to be honest. But I don't know how you feel about this, but I think Twisted Pennies might have beat you, to be honest.
It's debatable. Now, it's an interesting story, this one, because there was a very strict time limit, from what I remember, that was set on that battle. That it was set to 1 minute 30 per round. And you can notice in it that I go considerably shorter every single time. And then no one really said anything, to be honest with you. No one really said much about that. And then when I went up against Shocks, I was considerably longer, and it became like a major thing that everyone talked about that clash. Like, it should have gone the other way. So I've always been a little bit funny about it. Like, since then, I've always gone, well, I'm never going to go under the time. I'm always going to go over, because it makes such a difference. But yeah, I think the tongue twister one, you know what it is? I think I got the first quite clearly. From what I remember, I think the second round of his is really, really good. And then I think the third round is the one that maybe went my way, which shouldn't have. I think, to be honest, looking back at it, he probably did get it, realistically.
Yeah, but, I mean, like you said, there's never been a bad performance on your end either. Like, you've never choked or anything, so it was always fun.
I don't know. I'd render the Juan performance pretty dead, purely because when I say performance, I mean like the overall package. Like, I had a few interesting lines, but it was just really poor strategy from me more than anything else. I didn't used to think about the strategy of things as much when I was getting into it, because I was just so obsessed with like the kind of writing process and making like stuff sound like intricate and fun and stuff like that. But the more you do it, the more you become a student of it. You know what I mean? And what actually someone said this to me recently. I think it was Most Prob at the most recent Brighton event. He said, like, realistically, to do it, to be good at this, you have to care about it a lot and then stop caring and then enjoy it. And that's rung very, very true for me.
Yeah, it's a good shout, man. And like, so with the Henry battle, then I unfortunately couldn't make it to the Brighton event. It's
I am ashamed of you for not being there.
I apologise, man. I really do. It's do you know what? I've been kind of pushing for most prob versus Laffenstorp for about 3 years now, and it finally gets booked, and I can't make the event, which is rather annoying, to be honest. But like getting there from Cardiff, it's a ball ache. Like, it's on public transport. I have to go to London and then down to Brighton, so it gets pretty expensive to get there as well. But
Yeah.
how did the battle go for you with Henry then?
As I was saying earlier, man, I really enjoyed it. It was fun for me to do. Like, I felt very much in my bag. Like, since the last time I clashed and now, like, I've become a lot more aware of myself. I've become a lot more. I know what I'm good at a lot more, and I understood a lot more about how to be funny, essentially, and the importance of being funny. And there's just a couple of things I've filled out a bit. Like, I'm like big, but in the right places, if that makes sense. Like, I've got big broad shoulders and stuff like that. And I knew Henry was quite like a skinny, quite timid kind of guy. To be honest, reminded me a little bit of a very early Shuffle T. Like, I'm not trying to like generalize it or whatever, because obviously he's like the king of that sort of deadpan sort of thing. But a very early Shuffle T, when he wasn't really like the comic genius, he was still kind of finding himself. He was still kind of like, he wasn't really projecting in a way where his jokes would connect with people that wouldn't necessarily already be a fan. And I think Henry was good. Like, Henry was good. He had a lot of stuff. I think it was he had a lot more to go off than I did, obviously. So I just kind of went at it with an angle of, look, I'm just going to show you I am a lot better than you, and I'm doing this on short notice because it's easy. That's pretty much the approach that I kind of went with, and it was fun. I think my favorite punchline was I think the punchline that hit home the hardest was, I'm going to try and remember for the first four bar. You know, it's mad when once you finish the battle, the bars just go out your head. You just forget everything you've ever written.
Yeah.
It's quite mad. I think I said your obsession with this battle culture makes every single person you've ever met want to slap you, including your siblings when you're spamming battles into your family WhatsApp group. I think that was one thing I said, which was quite good,
Nice.
reaction wise. And I said, who's next? How's Henry out here with a head looking like root veg? During a big sort of hash brown punchline selection sort of thing, which was quite enjoyable. But yeah, I mean, there was a few bits that I really, I mean, to be honest, it was the most happy I've ever been with my material. Like, looking back over what I've done battle wise, my first rounds always seem to be like the strongest. Like, my first round against Shocks is very kind of concise. My first against Raptor was like a super concise round. My first against Tongue Twister as well, very concise. My first against Twisted Pennies as well, that was very concise. Like, I've always kind of had strong first rounds and tailed off. With this one, I was just a bit. It was only 2 rounds, but I was a lot more kind of spread with my material. To be honest, yeah, I was happy with it overall, man. It's I don't think I'll be back in a hurry purely because of the stress. I forgot how much stress it actually is to do it, to actually put one together to a level that I'd be happy with. But it was an enjoyable experience, definitely.
Nice, man. And yeah, I can see what you mean with the Henry and Shuffle like early Shuffle comparison. Like, he battled on the Bristol event, which I'm pretty sure was the weekend before. And I was at that event, and he seemed pretty good. He's also entered the academy for Premier Battles as well. So
very nice.
Coming against him at some point as well. But
very nice. Well, you can just say that I slapped the mid tier of SLEEPYGee, slapped him around completely. There you go. You can use that. You have my permission.
I like it. Thank you, man. But yeah, I mean, I heard that the Brighton event was pretty good as a whole, though.
Yeah, I won't lie. The crowd was amazing. One of the best Brighton crowds I've seen. I was a little bit worried about how responsive they would be to my material, but I saw quite early on there was quite like it was a very mixed audience. Like, there was a lot of people who had been more of a fan of that more sort of Americanized punchline style, and there were definitely people there who were just there to have a laugh. And yeah, it was a mixed crowd, but it was good. I felt the love very quickly. Like I had a lot of people coming up to me beforehand saying, "Oh, I haven't seen you at one of these in ages. How are you doing? It's good to see you back." And I was confident going into it. You know what I mean? Which was good. And in general, they were a very reactive crowd. It was really good. It was a genuine, enjoyable event to be at.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds good, man. And I mean, Don't Flop. It's interesting to see the route that they're taking at the moment. Like a lot of the events that they're doing are bringing in a very different crowd. Like I've been to since their kind of resurgence stage as such. Like I've been to all the Bristol events, and I've been to an event that they did in like Sheffield, I think it was, and I've never really like the last Bristol event, for example. The room was full, yet I didn't recognise anybody in the room except for the battlers that were on the card. So
Okay, so it was very much like a new group of people.
yeah, and I like that personally. Like when you go to most London-based events, you kind of see the same people at every event, which it can get a little bit boring, if you know what I mean, in that sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
it's definitely interesting to see what they're doing, and like all these experiments that they're doing. Like they did that Uni Bruv tour, I think it was called, where they had the same kind of 4 battles, but in like 5 or 6 different uni cities.
Okay.
And they did it on like uni campuses and stuff like that. And it's it's good to see that they're trying to find a solution to bring new fans in again.
Definitely, man. And I think they're going at it as though it's very much a completely brand new start and bringing in the occasional kind of remnant of a previous age, which is good. It's not a thing dosed. It's not a thing that's like doused in nostalgia. They're very much looking forward, which I'm enjoying the fact they're very much looking forward with it.
Yeah, me too, man. And like in terms of your battles overall, though, what would you say is your favorite battle that's online at the moment, like that you've been a part of?
You see, it's annoying because it would have been Raptor, but it's not online anymore. It's been removed, as has my debut. But I don't know. Kind of looking back, the Bizzo one's quite good. I quite like my performance in the Bizzo one. Very much doing what I enjoyed. That was a battle I took, and I very much did it to enjoy to write how I wanted to write. Like I didn't care if I won or lost. It was very much one I took to just kind of like do what I enjoyed. There's a battle that never went online with me and Innuendo, which was quite good. On like 24 hours notice, that was quite fun. Yeah, it might be the most recent one performance-wise, to be honest with you. But I don't know. The Integ one's quite a good, solid performance from myself. Shocks as well. I mean, I'm happy with the Shocks performance. I like my material for it. I think I gave a good showcase of the fact that I was at the time much more of a writer than a performer. And I think the content I brought to it was very, very good. It was more the performance and the kind of interaction that I wasn't as good at that point. But yeah, I'd probably say Shocks, to be honest with you.
No, I like that, man. That's a good answer, and I'd probably go with that as well in terms of your performance. Obviously not seen the Henry battle yet, but yeah, I think I'd go with the Shocks one. I think it's really underviewed, to be honest, but I do really like the 2-on-2 with you and Danny against.
Yeah, that's a funny one, man. I mean that battle there is literally the point at which I transitioned out. At that point, I was kind of like, I've done everything now. I've done tournament battles. I've done like finals. I've done one-offs. I've done short notice things. The only thing I hadn't done was a 2-on-2. And I think realistically, the only person I was ever going to team up with was going to be Danny. Or at one point, it was going to be Shocks. We were planning a 2-on-2, which was going to be me and Shocks versus Danny and Heretic. That was going to happen at one point, but that was it never really happened, which was a shame because that would have been fun. But yeah, the only thing I hadn't done was a 2-on-2. That was really fun to write. I've got to say, there was a really good kind of like back and forth with the way we kind of wrote it. Because the thing is with Danny, Danny's one of my very good friends. Like I've known Danny on a personal level, pretty much since the first day we did Don't Flop. Like he's someone that I've always been like. We've done a lot of shows together. We've played loads of raves. We've done music together. Like we've pretty much toured the country together, playing different cities. It's like we've done a lot of stuff outside of battle rap together. We've had a lot of kind of like deeper like discussions about things. Like we've both been there for each other in not so good moments. So it's Danny's someone that I've been close with for a while. So to kind of go and do that with him was the only person I was really ever going to clash with. And I think it was fun because I knew Danny. You know what I mean? I knew what he got reaction of. I knew what would be good for him to say. And it was quite fun to kind of like write some punchlines for someone else, if you know what I mean. Knowing that I would be part of the build-up, and then that bit where he kind of walks out and goes, "I've got 84,000 views." Like that's the first thing I envisioned doing when we did the clash, and it was the first thing I wrote down. And the first I remember Danny being a bit like, I don't get it. Like I don't get how it works. And I kind of ran through it with him, and he was like, okay. And he was still a bit iffy about it, if I remember rightly. And then on the day, it obviously came out and had such like a good reaction to it. Like it was quite good. But yeah, it was a good one, man. It was fun. It's not something I'd rush into again because I've become such a like meticulously organized person. I don't know whether I would be able to deal with working with someone else's workflow realistically.
No, I can appreciate that, man. But yeah, I mean, you and Danny ended up doing like a lot of work together. Obviously, you released a couple of tracks together, and he was like signed to South Point at one point as well. Is that right?
Yeah, he's still with us. He's a well, obviously we've just signed this new deal with Universal, so it's quite a good thing to say that Danny is now like an artist whose catalog is owned by Universal, which is quite a cool thing to be able to say. But yeah, we've been working together for ages, man. I can safely say that he is one of the most naturally gifted people at hosting raves I've ever seen. Like me and him have literally turned like empty rooms into mosh pits in over the course of like 20 minutes before. Like it's been we've done some very, very kind of legendary shows. Bristol, we've done a lot in Brighton, and we've just done some really, really cool venues, and we've done stuff. We've caused ruckuses pretty much everywhere we've gone. We've got a really good understanding when we go back and forth. There's a lot of videos of us performing together online, which look really, really fun. But yeah, it's he's a good guy, Danny. I think he gets a bit too much. He gets a bit too much stick online. I feel he's a good guy, and he's a very, I don't want to say talented because I hate the word talented, but he is a very skilled wordsmith without sounding cringy as anything. He's very gifted with words, and he is a naturally good performer when he's in his bag. So I think yeah, put a bit of respect on Danny's name, man.
I 100% agree. Like I'm actually like, I'd say I'm a pretty big fan of his, to be honest. Like I like how he, like you said, he gets a lot of stick, but he proper puts his personality across in his battles as well. Like
Yeah,
against the O'Shea battle, like I was there for that event, and he's obviously running the whole event as well, which is stressful enough as it is. You can tell that he's not very well at the same time as well.
yeah. I
And
mean,
he's
I won't lie. That I don't really remember much. I was there for that event because I was DJing for the day, but I
yeah.
won't lie. I was so that might have been the most hungover I've ever been at a battle event, purely because it was obviously Halloween the night before, and I was literally out raving till about 5 in the morning the night before. So I had to be up at like 8:30 to get like ready and get there in time to set up beforehand. Yeah, I was fucked that day.
Yeah, I wasn't in particularly good shape myself, to be fair, and I think a lot of people at that event were in a similar boat. But yeah, I mean, Danny's just the whole battle. He's funny, and he's still getting his personality across in it as well. Like I think he's always been very overlooked in that sense, like, and not taken seriously enough, I think.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah, but like with so moving on to like the music side of things for you then. So with South Point, I think I might be wrong here. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that you guys have recently kind of signed an artist that I went to school with,
Oh yeah, what's his name?
Jake Bob.
Oh, you went to school with Jake Bob.
I did.
Oh my word, that's fucking amazing. Honestly, Jake Bob is one of my favorite people in the world. Yeah, we've done a load of collabs. We've been making music with each other for I think it's like 4 years now. He was one of the first people that did specials for me. I was one of the first people to bring him on radio. Like we've been working with Jake Bob now on and off for I'd say around 4 years. We released his debut album. And yeah, we've been working with him for ages. I did not know that though. That is, I'm going to tell him. I'm literally going to Instagram him right now and say that we're on a chat together. That's amazing.
So he's a bit younger than me, I think, but I recognise him, and I found out that he's from Leinster, which is just outside Hereford.
Yeah.
And I did like my last 6 months of school at a school in Leinster.
Oh wow.
And when I looked him up, I seemed to recognise him. So I'm pretty sure that we went to the same school at some point. Like, we've never spoken or anything, but yeah, I'm a big fan of his though, man. He makes some
man. I tell you
stuff.
what, he's going to have an amazing few years. Some of the stuff what he's been working on behind the scenes, music wise, is amazing. His new album's wicked. The full project. We had him on the Breakfast Show a couple of weeks ago to talk through the new project. I'm just a huge fan of Jake Bob, and I would recommend anyone who is a fan of interesting grime music to go and listen to what he does. He's a very multifaceted person. Like he does. Like he records himself. He's a vocalist alongside being a producer. Very good DJ as well. But yeah, I've got so much time for Jake Bob, man. I think he's an excellent addition to any roster.
Yeah, definitely, man. And yeah, I've become a big fan of his. But like, in terms of South Point as a whole, like so what's happened with the Universal Music thing then?
So essentially, with this, which is a really, really cool deal, we've been taken on by we're now distributed by Universal. So they've essentially signed us as we've signed with them for distribution. So our music is essentially on their catalog, which is then distributed to all the stores and whatever. And the main thing with this is it means we're going to be ranked a lot higher on like Spotify listings and stuff like this because we're coming from such a recognized outlet. And I've got to say as well, and I will say this on every single conversation that comes up about Universal, I want to say a massive thank you to Cygnus as well, because they are an incredible company and they were the distribution network we were with before. I've worked with them on I've like been employed by them to do sort of like label scouting work and sort of distribution, kind of like brokering and stuff like that, and bringing labels into distribution deals. And in general, they're an absolutely amazing company. So anyone who's listening in for sort of like label advice, if you're looking for a good dance music distributor, go all out to get involved with Cygnus. But there we go. I think with Ingrooves, we're one of the very few UK bass and grime labels they've ever signed, if not the first. I'm not entirely sure. We're either the first or one of very few to have ever been signed. So we're very much kind of we're opening up something very, very new in regards to music becoming popular. You know what I mean? Like we work obviously in UK garage and UK bass as a speciality of sort of our underground knowledge. So it's quite an honor, to be honest, to be in that position. I think the announcement came out a few days ago, about a week ago, I think it was now, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks, something like that. And the amount of inboxes I've had has been outstanding. Like the support we've had on the post, like, and I mean, realistically, there's definitely a little bit going on of that. Oh, they've just signed a deal with Universal. I want to make sure we're friends with them. And I've always said I don't mind that, because to me, this whole notion of, oh, why weren't you supporting me when I wasn't popping? And my whole thing on that is, well, the definition of popping is everyone supporting you. That's what it is. So it doesn't make sense that everyone would be supporting you before you're popping. To be popping is having everyone supporting you. And that's something that does grind my gears a little bit when people are very much like, oh, I don't like these snakes. They're all coming out now. I'm doing well. Shut up. It's a stupid attitude. But yeah, in general, yeah, it's a very exciting time for us. Like we've had a massive influx of work because we've obviously had to re-upload our entire catalog and go through and put all like the individual like catalog numbers and all of the individual like SRC, I think the number's called, numbers, and all of the for every song we've ever released. And we've released over 500 songs in the last 4 years. So yeah, it's been a lot, but it's been 100% worth it. And the announcement did bits. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. And like I think I did actually see it through a post that Danny Jack made somewhere, to be honest. And
yeah, I think he put one into the battle rap group, didn't he?
that could have been it. Yeah, that sounds about right. But that's a huge move, man. Like, congratulations, and it's
thank you, sir. Thank you. It's a mad one because it's I mean, me and Josh, who run South Point, we have like been involved in different things before. Like this is the third label project is it the third? It's the fourth label project that I've been involved with. First hand, maybe fifth. We had I started like a few other projects when I was younger, but this is like the one we've kind of thrown all the eggs into the basket for, all of the connections. Like what a lot of people that might not know about me is I'm into like my 12th year now of doing kind of music in general. Like I've been working away at this thing for a long time. Like I played my first ever DJ show when I was 15. I had my first release at I think 13 and a half, 14, something like that. Like I've been going for a long time already. So obviously by doing that for that long period of time, being in the raves, being in the dances, you make contacts, you make connections online. And this one has been the thing that's really this has been the one we've thrown all the eggs into the basket for. And it's obviously off the back of it. Obviously we got the radio show, which then led to me becoming full-time doing music through doing like radio presenting as my full-time job. So it's kind of like the thing that's really made everything else possible. Like every other job that I now have, be it working for Juno, be it working for 3000, has come from essentially being one of the faces of South Point and being the kind of the sort of product manager, the A&R, the guy who basically will talk about music and know what he's talking about. Because of that, that's how I've got these other jobs. So it's really been the thing that's pushed us out there, I feel.
Yeah, definitely, man. And it's been another, interesting kind of journey to watch as well. Like I've always been I'm into all kinds of music, but like from a very young age, like I've been massively into grime music and stuff, so I've always kind of followed what you've been doing since that point, and it's some of the releases that you've had through South Point, man, they've been absolutely incredible. Like,
thank you, sir. That's a pleasure. What's been your favorite one? I'm always interested to ask people this.
so there was actually a Bush Baby track,
Okay.
I think.
And like the Golden Boy.
I can't remember the name of the track now for the life of me. It would have been not long after you stopped battling, though.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's when it was really like the real push happened around then. Yeah, it might have been a tune on Presents, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's interesting to know, man. I mean, I'll just to give a little shout out to Bush Baby. He is on a different plateau now. Like he is realistically one of the most popular dance music acts, like new dance music acts in the UK. Like everyone wants to work with him. Some of the biggest like DJs in the world are hollering him for like music and collabs. It's mad, to be honest with you. It's very mad, and we're at South Point. Like we're extremely proud of his journey as well. I mean, I'm literally sat in the room where we did our first ever radio show from. We literally did the show from home, and it was me and Bush Baby because we were the first two artists on the label. So the fact we're both like in a position now where we're living off what we love to do, I think more than anything that's a testament to hard work more than anything else, and the fact that you can get places if you graft. Like I can safely say with South Point, for the first, I think it was 2 years, we didn't spend a penny. We did not spend a penny. We didn't pay for any artwork. We did it all within our team that we assembled. We didn't pay for any video content. We built it all ourselves. No social media like boosting. We literally just were clever with what we posted. We pretty much built it up entirely off no budget whatsoever. Did all the logos ourselves. Did all like the radio programming, all the production, all the mastering. We did everything in-house, to the point where we were literally able to start generating income, which we as a label we generate enough income to never even have to worry now about having to put money into it. Like, obviously we're not living off South Point because it's only a 5-year-old label. It takes a lot longer than that to be in a position where you are living off it, but we're in a position, luckily enough, now where we don't even have to ever worry about putting money in, essentially. So it's something that is now self-sustaining. We've spent hours and hours and hours kind of teaching ourselves all these side of things. Like, for instance, myself, I do a lot of the kind of graphic content. I did a lot of the early video content, all of the mastering I did, all of the vocal mixing I did as well. And then a lot of just the general arrangement of things, the pushing together of things where you'd normally have an extra pair of hands on board, or you'd have like a designer or someone outboard. We learned to do it all ourselves. And Josh on the other side, he learned all about the sort of contracting side, the legalities, all the sort of publishing side of things. Like he knows that like the back of his hand now. So we've kind of pushed ourselves into this position where we are able to handle everything ourselves to the point where we actually both get approached by other labels to do bits for them. For instance, I handle a fair bit of press release work for a lot of the other labels in our scene. Like, I'm one of the people that handles that in general. I do mastering for a lot of other labels in our scene. Josh does a lot of consultancy work for a lot of other people in our scene. So it's quite nice to be in that position now where we've got this kind of deal that's kind of pushed us to the point where we've almost been recognized for how much we've kind of put into it, if that makes sense.
Definitely, and it's, as I said, man, it's been a really exciting journey to watch as well. So it's great to see you're getting your props for it in that sense, and the Universal deal it's exciting times, man. I bet you're over the moon with that.
Definitely, man. I mean, I won't even lie. Literally, right before we jumped onto this podcast, I was in the process of uploading files to Universal, and as soon as we finish, I'm going to do another one. I'm going to be getting straight back into doing that as soon as we finish up. So it's very much at a point now, especially in this lockdown scenario, where I am still doing sort of 16-hour days. Obviously trying to kick up the YouTube channel, get the views up on that. We hit 200 subscribers today, actually. So after pretty much a month of pushing off, I think we had 40 at the start of lockdown, and now we've hit 206 today, I think it is. So there's a lot of effort going in there. Obviously, all this Universal stuff on the side, a lot of press work, a lot of review work. It's nice, man. It's a fun position to be in.
What YouTube channel's that then?
So I've recently started. Well, I've had the channel for about a year now, but I essentially, because obviously I work as a radio host full time, interviewing people. I have cameras set up at work, and I always pretty much just film the interviews, edit them down, and put them up onto YouTube and social media and stuff like that. But up until lockdown, I've never really had the time to really push it as a platform. Whereas now, I've had a bit of extra time, like a couple of hours a day, so I've pretty much started doing the breakfast show that I normally do at Trickstar from home, because obviously I'm not able to get into the studio during lockdown, but I'm still doing the breakfast show from home via my YouTube channel. And off the back of that, we've kind of like transferred all the guests that were meant to come onto my show onto my YouTube channel, and because of that, we're starting to get some amazing guests on. Like we've had Skepsis on, we've had Higo on, we've had Mungo's Hi-Fi on, I've got King's Hi-Fi on tomorrow. And the next few weeks of guests are looking really, really exciting. So what I'm doing in the mornings is doing the breakfast show, and then in the afternoon I drop a gaming video, or I've literally started reaction videos today. I'm doing top 5 videos of like producers' best 5 tunes, in my opinion. But yeah, fully running at YouTube with like my head down, like horns up and going up. I'm going to do YouTube, because I've always been someone that will just tank his way through like as much work as possible. And YouTube just seems like the best thing for me to be doing right now, as obviously I can't get into radio. So yeah.
Nice. No, it's the Cubcam channel then, is that right?
Yeah, literally youtube.com/Cubcam TV.
Cool. Yeah, I'll give that a share and stuff as well, man.
Oh, you absolute diamond. Thank you. So every share helps. It's quite mad. What I've found with growing a YouTube, it's difficult getting people involved. And I've got, luckily enough, I've got a couple of friends who are in social media positions at like very exciting companies who really know their stuff. So I've been able to grab a few tips off them about like labeling and like tagging and stuff like that, and like certain things that you need to do to make your videos pop a bit more. So we're starting to see the growth. Like obviously, only having 40 subs to begin with means that it was going to be difficult to kind of push people onto the channel. But now, like, we're getting a consistent run of people locking in the mornings. Like, I think the thing on YouTube is if you hit 10% of your subscriber base, it's not a failed video. So anything over 10%, your video is done actually quite well. And I think we haven't hit underneath 10% of our subscriber base in the last month. So it's growing. You know what I mean? It's definitely something I'm enjoying.
Definitely. Yeah, I remember seeing the Danny Jack interview a couple of months ago now.
Oh, where he sees a demon in Leeds?
Yes. I love that.
That was such an enjoyable interview, man.
Yeah, and you've had her on as well, is that right?
Yeah, I did. He pinched the video, didn't he? Well, I say that I'm joking. We agreed beforehand that it would go up on the Don't Flop channel, which is good. It pushed people towards my channel. But yeah, I had her on literally the week of the battle, and I say it in the clash with Henry actually that I wanted that interview with her. So that's one of the reasons I actually did the battle, because I wanted to kind of get that interview and basically have it on record that I've done that interview. So yeah, I mean, that was a really good one with her, actually, kind of looking through kind of like the history of stuff, and where he was at and what they're doing now. It was a really in-depth interview. To be honest with you, I would recommend checking out any of the sort of long haul interviews I do. There's a lot of really useful information in there as well. We do also like podcast the show, so the interviews do go up on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Music as well. I'm going to end up throwing about 1,000 links at you at the end of this. I do literally. I've been told before I almost do too much in regards to like just having all these different avenues a lot of the time, but I like to stay busy realistically.
No, Matt, please do send them over. And like, I've mentioned it to a few people now, but my main aim with this podcast long term is once I've kind of built the subscribers up and stuff as well, I want to do a weekly show where we're kind of going into battlers' music a lot more, because I feel like it's always so overlooked, and there's
Definitely.
battlers making great music, whatever the genre is. So
just a question for you: who's your favorite? Which battle rapper, in your opinion, makes the best music?
I don't know if I could narrow it down to one. Are you aware of Eddie I?
Yeah, he's wicked, man. He makes some amazing stuff.
He makes some great music. I do think Shotty makes great music. A lot of people gave his recent album a bit of stick because it was very kind of indie, like Brit-pop kind of sound, but I enjoyed it, and like he's from Manchester, it kind of makes sense for him to transition into that side of things as well. But I mean, Blizzard makes great music. Obviously yourself, Danny Jack makes good music.
I was going to say this. Danny makes some really, really cool stuff. It may not necessarily be like a typical battle rapper, kind of thing of it's like boom bappy hip hop sort of stuff. But I think you look at Danny's catalog, he's got some amazing stuff out there. He's had like some really good stuff pop. Like he's had like he was the theme tune for Mo Gillam's first ever tour that was recorded in my room.
Was he really?
Yeah, there's a video of it basically when Mo Gillam finished his final show of his first tour at London. It was a place in London. But he basically played the tune that me and Danny made in this room as his like outro. So like he did it at a couple of other venues I think as well. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's really cool. I didn't know that. I've not actually watched much of Mo Gilligan yet. I need to get round to it. To be
Oh, you
honest,
do,
but
bro. He's if you're like a fan of UK culture in general, like UK sort of underground, urban. I don't know the best way to describe it, but he nails it on the head every single time. He's hilarious.
yeah, I need to watch some of his stuff properly. To be fair, but like obviously C Major makes some incredible music. You've got like over in the States and stuff. You've got like Ilmac. You've got
I was gonna say Ilmac makes bangers. Ilmac is probably my favorite overall from like everything.
yeah. I think that's fair enough. Definitely, I agree. I love the pretty much anything that Chase Moore's involved with as well. Like I
Yeah,
tend to
he's
just
a
really
wicked
like.
producer, man. There was a tune there was a tune that popped a while ago that had Lush One on it that was an absolute I can't remember what it was called, but it was such a banger. It was off one of the non-perishable CDs, I think.
Not too sure actually.
You know what I'll do? I'll find it after we've had this, and I'll link it to you. But yeah, I think people will know the tune.
Is it so? Is it the one that they put on the Ruin Your Day tapes?
Maybe it might have been Ruin Your Day, right? I'm gonna literally, I might as well just YouTube it now. Or we're both sat next to computers anyway. Ruin Your Day, Lush One, and I can't remember who the other person. I think it was Bobby Boucher's the other one on it.
Ah, right, okay.
White Lies, that's it.
Yeah, it rings a bell. I don't know it off the top of my head, but
Yeah, that was an absolutely banging tune. There's been a few that kind of stick in my head. You've got the Hollow tune, Yola.
yeah. Have
Um,
you heard the recent New Jersey Twerk track? I think it's called
yeah, he can
Oasis.
rap, bro. He can. I think twerk is a problem in a lot of fields, bro. Twerk is great, like at a lot of things.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree, man. And like That track is incredible, and like I love. If you haven't heard it yet, it's a Chase Moore track with Pass and Eddie I.
Okay.
I think it's called Undecided.
Oh yeah, I think
That's
I
one
don't
of
know why I'm
my
undecided. That one.
yeah, that one. Yeah, I
I
love that.
watch a lot of Watch, so that tune's been popping up on my timeline for ages.
Yeah, it was the intro for a bit, wasn't it? So, but yeah, I mean, like even down to like, I really like some of Briz Rawstein's stuff, which normally
Yeah,
isn't my
I think
taste.
people don't give people a chance as much as they should. I feel.
Definitely. And like obviously you've got like the old school heads like Bender and Lopesci and people like that. Like yeah, I feel like it's never got as much kind of traction. Like when I first got into Don't Flop and stuff, it was everybody that was battling was pushing their mixtape before, like in their intro and stuff. And I appreciate that fades out with the kind of digital era and whatever, but I just think someone needs to try and bring some more shine to battlers' music personally. So
Definitely, I
yeah,
agree.
any links that you've got, man, please do send them over, and I'll
100%, bro. I will hook you up with the catalogue.
love it. I've also just remembered another track that like I think it was released through Sound. I'm not 100% sure now, but Mooney did a track called Oi, and I know Mooney's
Yeah, bro.
signed
Yeah,
to
that was a big one for us at the time.
yeah. Yeah, I knew Mooney was signed to you guys. I didn't know if it was released through you, but yeah, I love that. Mooney's
Yeah, man. Oi
amazing.
was a banger when that dropped. That was a big one for us. There was obviously we'd put a vocal out of it as well, which was Danny and Razor back to back. And yeah, that's a tune that's kind of like been a bit immortalized. Like it's been remixed, it's had vocals done on it. It's like in that sort of legendary. Like if we were to ever do like a top 30 list, it'd be in there.
Nice. Yeah, no, I can understand that. That was a great track, and I didn't realize until I was looking through the website a couple of days ago, just kind of prepping for this, and I didn't realize that Luciferian was signed to you guys.
Yeah, man. I think the thing with a lot of what we do is we do a lot of behind the scenes work. Like we're not a complete like front face. We are quite front facing in what we do, especially compared to a lot of other labels. But we work a lot of the time behind the scenes with people. And Luciferian's had a few singles drop with us. He's been featured on a few EPs as like a guest vocalist as well. And we're in the process at the minute of taking him on as a specifically like South Point artist. So there's a lot there's a lot of people we work with across different genres as well. There's a lot of vocalists, a lot of producers, a real kind of range of stuff. And I think that's what we kind of makes us stick out a lot, is that we aren't just in one genre. We really are an across the board label.
Nice, yeah, good stuff, man. I love it, and it's exciting times ahead for you guys anyway. So
Definitely, bro.
but there is two battle rap related questions remaining. One of which I'm not too sure if this particularly applies to yourself, I guess. But is there any battles that you have that you want for yourself, or is it
You
just
know
your
what?
return when you have time?
I would one time like to clash Danny. I think it would be very fun to do. Maybe at a charity event or something like that, but I would absolutely love to clash Danny purely because I know we'd both have a lot of fun doing it. As I said, we've got a lot of history together. Like there's a lot of things we've kind of a lot of like crazy scenarios we've kind of found ourselves in over the years. Like we've both got a little bit of like fun dirt on each other, you know, like there's a lot.
Yeah, I can see that. I like that, and yeah, I was kind of expecting.
I won't lie. I'm in no rush to set it up because, as I said, I'm literally flooded at the moment with kind of stuff to crack on with. But yeah, in general, that'd be if I was to do another one anytime soon. I'd want it to be one that I enjoyed. You know what I mean? I think that's definitely one I could enjoy.
Nice. No, it makes sense, man. And yeah, like I've been asking people for like a list of 5 names, but obviously with yourself, it's difficult to put that together when battling is not really a priority whatsoever, I guess. But
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I will never say. I will say this. I'll never say that I won't go back to it, because it's something I enjoy. You know what I mean? It's something I enjoy looking at. It's something I enjoy watching. But I can't ever seeing it being the main thing for me.
No, it makes sense. But yeah, you and Danny would be really fun, man, and it definitely go well on a don't flop card too. So
Definitely, some sort of like an April Fool's type event, basically. Like what is it? I can't remember what it's called. Like rival kind of themed as like a big rivalry clash or something like that. When really we're literally just there to have like a giggle.
yeah, no, it'd be good fun, man. But the final battle rap related question is the one that people have found the hardest, if I'm honest. So
Okay, let's give it a go.
yeah, so you're a promoter, and you have unlimited funds to put an event together. I've been
Okay.
saying between 5 and 10 battles as a guideline. But
Okay.
what are you booking? What do you want to see on your ideal card?
I'd like to see Twerk versus Pat Stay. I think that's the that's the battle that everyone in the world wants right now.
I really want to see it. There's opponents for each of them that I'd personally prefer to see though.
Okay.
I'm
So,
I'm my plan was to go to Town Business 3 this year.
okay.
I've never been to the States as a whole, so I just saw it as an excuse to go more than anything. But it looks like, due to the current situation, King of the Dot are now going to do the Blackout LA event around the time that they normally do Town Business.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably a better thing to do then, I reckon.
Yeah, so hopefully I'm going to head over for that. And the battle that I'm trying to push for, which I think everybody that I've said this to has kind of gone, I've never thought of that, but I really like it, which is interesting to hear. But all I want to see right now is Pat Stay versus Ill Will.
That's a really good matchup, bro. I really like Ill Will. I think Ill Will's criminally underrated for how good he is.
Completely agree. He's one of my personal like all-time favorites, to be honest, and I just think
Definitely, man.
they both switch it up, but they're also both fucking hilarious, and I just think
Yeah,
I think it would work really well. And
definitely, bro.
Twerk,
I think who did you want for Twerk?
I really want to see Twerk Calico.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one actually. I like the sound of that.
And I do want to see Twerk against Diz as well.
Yeah, that's another one that's in the thing. I'm so 50-50 with Diz, bro. Like, I like a lot of what he does, and then he does stuff, and I'm just a bit like, I don't enjoy it. Although I do really enjoy him on watch. He seems to be he takes a very different approach on watch, which I really like.
Yeah, I agree. I like that too, but I'm similar with Diz. Like, I don't like his attitude to things at times. Like, in the last, what, pretty much since the Yunnan battle, he's kind of been in this mindset where if it's not on the West Coast, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
feel that.
just getting a bit boring to watch. Like, I don't know if you've seen, he recently went over to Germany again and battled on Jolly J's league, so don't let the label you against Jolly J.
Yeah,
And it's head and shoulders above any battle that Jolly J's done for me. Like, he's genuinely really, really good in it. And Diz just kind of turns up and he chokes and he blames the crowd for not fucking with him, and like, he didn't
it's
do any
just
kind of
being annoying,
promo
man.
for the battle after either, and it's
Yeah,
just
that's annoying, bro. I think with anything like that, it's always going to be it just in general. I think it depends on what mood he's in. I feel.
yeah, and for someone who's always going on about how much he does for this culture, which I'm not denying it, because he has done a lot, but at the same time, the amount of times that he's gone overseas and just put in a half-assed performance, and like the amount of battles he's done outside of California that have been a bit of a shit show in general, like, you can't really just keep wondering why you're losing fans a lot when you're putting in these performances. If that makes sense, it's just
Yeah, I
I
feel
don't
that.
know. He frustrates me a bit, but
Yeah, I think frustrating is the best word. It's definitely the best word because I think realistically, I don't think there's anyone who's more naturally adept at doing it in the world. I think he is the most natural battle rapper in the world. Like if there was no like training or no anything else, he would naturally be the best.
yeah, it's like he's been built in a lab and
Yeah, essentially.
like chucked
But I
in the
think
ring. But
the other ones that I think with it are with that card, just because I want to kind of get through these before I forget them. I'd like to see Suge versus Tay Rock.
yeah,
I'd like to see Ilmac versus because he's already clashed Ill Will, hasn't he?
yeah, he has. Yeah,
Maybe Ilmac versus. It's quite a difficult one. I don't know because Ilmac they always go up against a writer, but I think Ilmac is good all around. Like he's very good across the board at what he does. I don't know. Kind of look. I'm just trying to think of names off the top of my head that I think could work quite well for him. To be honest, even someone like a Sue Surf, I think would be quite enjoyable to see. It wouldn't get the reaction it'd like, but I'd like to see him go up against someone who's quite like wordy. You know what I mean?
yeah, I can see that. I think I commented on a post recently, like if Ilmac was to go on the URL, who's the matchup for him, and like I think I'd go with Av personally,
Yeah, Av works, I suppose.
but I think now that you've mentioned it, I think I kind of like the Surf battle more, to be honest.
Yeah, I think just he needs to go up against someone wordy. You know what I mean? Like, who else then? Ill Will, I'd like to see against someone. Who would I like to see Ill Will against that he hasn't been against yet?
It's hard, to be fair. His resume's
His
stacked,
resume
but
is very good. Just trying to think. So you see, I like it when to be honest, I would like to actually see him go against someone that he would absolutely mash to pieces. Oh, you know what? Actually, Ill Will, Danny Myers. I think that would be quite good.
I think they've battled.
Have they battled already?
I think that's happened on
I'm out of
RBE.
touch, bro.
I
I'm so
could be
out of
wrong.
touch.
I'm gonna check. Let's have a look.
Let's have a look. See. Yeah, it'd be an interesting one.
Okay, I'm not sure it has actually.
Oh, there we go. I'd probably say those four then. I think the rest. If I was filling up the rest of them, I'd literally just be putting in names for the sake of putting in names.
No, that's fair enough. It's a very good card though, to be fair. And
Yeah, I that's the thing. I miss smaller cards.
yeah, I can see what you mean, but then I think I think URL can do it. I think King of the Dot can do it. I don't think we can do it over here. I
It,
just don't.
what as in where they do it?
No, I just don't think we've got the kind of star power to do it anymore. And like King of the Dot, the World Dom event that I mentioned earlier, kind of proved that. Like they did a 5 battle World Dom card, which is a strange decision anyway for me. But like Sharon versus A Ward was in my opinion, the only good battle on that event, and neither of them were British. Like
Yeah,
Caustic
yeah.
versus
I
Bobby
feel that.
Rex was really boring. Um, Chiller Jones Head Ice is the worst battle I've ever seen live.
Yeah, I really couldn't stand. I couldn't stand that, to be honest with you. I don't know. I've never really been sold on Chiller.
I liked Chiller a lot, but I've never he's done a couple of good performances in the UK, but I've seen him I think 4 times now, and they've all been pretty poor, to be honest. Like I
Yeah.
saw him battle Tony, which he was terrible in. I saw him battle Sharon, which was again a really boring battle. Um, Head Ice, like I was really excited to see, and I just didn't have a clue what he was talking about for about 10
Yeah,
minutes.
I get that with Ice a lot, to be honest with you. It's a shame because Head Ice versus my favorite Head Ice performance happened years ago, and it's no one even so many people don't even know it happened.
Okay.
Have a guess. Have a guess at what my favorite one is.
Is it Pat Stay?
Nope. Everyone knows that's happened. Come on.
Yeah, but and people don't know it's happened.
No, people may know it's happened, but it never even gets mentioned in like in Head Ice's like battles.
I mean, personally, I like the Big K battle.
Mm. That's for me. That's probably his strongest performance, but not my favorite performance.
Caustic.
Nope. You get one more.
Ooh, pressure's on now.
Yeah, pressure's really on. I always do this in interviews. I end up flipping them around without meaning to.
Is it that one where they battle in like a hotel room against T-Rex?
Nah, it's Dead Man.
Okay, yeah, that was that on like a?
It was Vendetta, I think it was.
I thought that was like a World Dom event in LA for
No,
some reason.
is it
But
I think it's Vendetta. Is it Vendetta? No, it's not. It was the event after Vendetta.
it's the one. It's the same event where Shuffle and Marlowe battled Caustic and
Yeah,
Dirtbag
that
Dan in
event.
it.
Yeah, that event.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember
And you
that.
also had at that event, I believe, Math and Diz was at that event as well.
It was. Yeah. Yeah.
So there we go, legendary event.
Definitely. But yeah, no, I don't really remember the battle, to be honest. I might have to watch that after this as well. But yeah, I've always really liked Head Ice in the sense that some of his battles are incredible, but yeah, I thought he'd come over here and really show out, and he
And
didn't.
bring something a bit more. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, I feel you on that. I feel you.
yeah, and then what else was that event? Shocks, Ilmac, and then Seoul Arsenal, which just didn't work at all,
Yeah.
in my opinion. It was terrible, but yeah, I just don't think we can do small card events over here anymore.
No, I agree.
But yeah, no, it's a good list from yourself. Though I get a lot of stick for this, but I can't stand Tay Rock.
Oh, come on, bro. He's the face of the culture. He's the face.
He's not, and I massively disagree. Like I've got kind of a mate from Cardiff who he doesn't follow battle rap, but he follows URL like he's a URL fanatic kind of thing. And,
But that happens though, man. That's like, to be honest, that's not that different from like following England but not following any other football.
yeah, it's true. They are
It's not
kind of like
it's
the
not that different at
industry
all.
guys, aren't they? So
Yeah.
and like I remember the first conversation we had about battle rap. Like he was talking to me about all these URL battlers and stuff, and I was like, well, do you not watch like any Don't Flop stuff? Or he was like, oh, is that the league where that O'Shea guy battles? And I was just like, what? Like, what do you mean that O'Shea guy?
It's a different mindset though, bro. Like it's like when I've kind of looked at it, I think like Don't Flop is very much like the UK. It's the UK's own. But if you're looking at it on like a global scale, if you've never like, think of it like Hollywood. Like the majority of films come out of Hollywood. So you're probably just going to look at the biggest films that come out. Or if you're not a fan of the thing in general, you're probably going to gravitate towards the biggest ones. They're the ones you're going to see first. So if you then get involved with those ones first, then you've got them, and that's you. Whereas if you then suddenly you don't really have a need to look at the UK ones. I think the only way you're actually going to come across the UK ones first, if that's your introduction to battle rap.
Yeah, fair point. And yeah, he went to the URL event in London.
Oh, you know what? I so wanted to go. I so wanted to go, bro.
Do you know what? I was on holiday for the event anyway, so I couldn't make it. But I saw the ticket prices and I was just like,
It was expensive, like super expensive.
yeah,
Wasn't
I
it
was
like
just like, I
60,
don't know.
70 quid or something?
I think they were about 85 quid.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's fair enough. You've got to think about how much all of those people, how much everyone gets paid to do it. You then have to
Yeah,
look as well about the hotels for everyone. You have to then look about the travel, the amount of time they're going to be there, like yada yada yada, all the pay-per-view costs of getting that all sorted and set up.
yeah. No, I
Yeah,
do
I
get
mean,
it,
I'm
but
not mad at it. I wasn't mad at it.
this guy, I came back from holiday and like I'd seen the pay-per-view by this point, and he was like, he's one of those where to him Tay Rock is number one on the Mount Rushmore, and I'm like, you're wrong. But
I wouldn't put Tay Rock number one on Rushmore, but I wouldn't be surprised at being it's either him or Twerk who's number one in the world rating wise right now, with Pat staying a solid third. That's I think that's pretty clear.
yeah, I do agree, and like I think so. For me, I just find Tay Rock, I find him boring in that it's not battle rap to me. 70% of his material is it could be said to anyone, and the rest of it is just like really badly constructed name flips. And
Okay. So you're very much approaching that from the kind of what you'd expect from a UK battler, aren't you? You're that because the UK is so much more direct in what people do. There's a lot more kind of like piss taking, shall we say, in UK battle culture rather than America, where it is more of like it's more flex based. It's more kind of like I am better than you, rather than it being like you're a dickhead sort of stuff. Sort of that's the general approach.
it is, but there's also battlers that have that approach that I really like. Like I'm a huge Briz Rawstein fan. Um,
Yeah, I like a bit of Briz.
I big Twerk fan, but like
Yeah.
for me, Tay Rock kind of falls under the category that I put Charlie Clips in. Like I never liked Clips at all, and then
I've always been 50-50 on Clips, to be fair.
yeah, and then I saw him live, and it kind of changed my opinion on him a lot because he really controls a room. And
Yeah.
I feel like Tay Rock kind of falls under that category. If I saw him
Yeah, I
live,
can,
my
I can, I can
opinion
see
might
that. I think if you
change.
saw Tay Rock live, yeah, your opinion on it would completely change. I reckon.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not a fan of him at all. Like I just
Fair enough, though. I mean, if you didn't have contrasting opinions, then it would be very boring.
yeah, like I remember him. Like, there's just so many bad lines that come up with Tay Rock as well. Like I don't know. I don't get the hype with it personally, but yeah, I mean it was Shug that you put him up against, right?
Yeah,
Shug takes that easily for me.
yeah, fair enough.
I'm like
Shug is one of my favorites, regardless.
yeah, same. See again, Shug is someone I'm a huge fan of. Like him versus Pat Stay is I think probably battle of the year last year.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not mad at that.
But yeah, like the lad I was on about as well was trying to persuade me that Tay Rock beat Pat 3-0, and I was like, mate, you're wrong,
It just didn't happen. Yeah.
very wrong. Like for me, it was Pat 3-0, and I don't think there's much of an argument to be honest. But yeah, just I can't get on board with Tay Rock personally.
No, that's fair enough, though. I think again that differentiation is what, and it's very UK. I think that thing of being like anything where it's not doesn't make like. I think we're a lot more critical of kind of like the technical side of things over here.
Yeah, definitely. He's ruined a couple of battles for me as well. Like I tried to watch. I think it was like Jack Boy Main versus Dre Dennis not long ago. So it
Okay,
was the
so we're,
event
ta- we're
where
talking like we're talking like card fillers at this point.
kind of yeah, but I'd heard that it was a really good battle, and like I really do like Jack Boy apart from the whole
Yeah, I
John
like
John
Jack Boy.
shit.
It's
But
annoying that he doesn't say anything. It's really because he's got everything other than punchlines. It's brilliant.
yeah, yeah, but like everyone had said that it was really good, and Jack Boy was like back on his shit and stuff, and it was the I can't remember the league. I think it's called like the Battle Academy, and it was the event where Tay Rock battled T Rex, which was another dreadful battle to be honest. But just Tay-Rock's ad-libs through the whole battle, just it made me switch it off. He just fucking annoys me.
Fair enough, though. Fair enough.
Yeah, but yeah, that's Tay-Rock, I suppose. But the final questions, man. So there's a couple of music-related questions that aren't necessarily related to your music as such, and then I've been ending with 3 very random questions, but difficult one. But if you had to pick your top 3 favorite albums of all time, what would you go with?
I'd go with Weekend Trilogy. I'd go with Wiley Playtime Is Over. And I would also put I don't know. Let me jump into my iTunes because they're the 2 that are the top of the list for me very easily. Like they're just there. They're never really going anywhere.
Playtime Is Over is incredible, to be fair.
You know what? Even though I think Huss's new album is better than his previous one, I'd probably put Common Sense in there just because of the longevity of it.
Okay. No, I get that.
So yeah, Common Sense, Playtime's Over, and Trilogy.
Nice. Yeah, I think for me, it's a toss-up between Playtime Is Over and Tunnel Vision Volume 1, but one of them makes it in there as well. So
Yeah, definitely, bro. You see, that's the UK for it. That's a very like UK approach, you know?
yeah, definitely. And it's the first time any grime album has come up as well, and this is, I think, the 54th episode I've done now. So
There we go.
yeah, good to
Should try and
finally
get
have one in there. Say again.
Should try and get Dialect on, bro. He's got loads to talk about music-wise.
I'd love to. Yeah, I have reached out and not heard back from him, unfortunately, but
I'll give him a nudge.
definitely want to get Dialect on down the years because, again, he's another one of my all-time favourites UK-wise anyway. So
There we go. That's good to hear, though, man.
yeah, and I love his music as well. For me, I grew up massively into grime at a point where I was only really aware of London MCs, like back when I was in school, and then the odd Manchester MC, like Shifty and people like that. But
Yeah.
the northern accent just sounds great on grime, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, I'm a huge Dialect fan, man. But in terms of gigs or concerts and stuff that you've attended, what would you say is the best live act that you've seen?
It's definitely going to be one that, I mean, I'll put 2 in there, and they're both actually in quite similar fields, and actually nothing to do with what I make or tend to sign, which is very interesting. I'd say either Eskimo. I don't know if you've heard of Eskimo, ESKMO, who makes very kind of like he's Canadian. He makes very kind of trippy, kind of like trip hop essentially. I don't know if it's called trip hop, but very kind of like trippy, natural sounding, squelchy 4x4 dubstep influence stuff. And I saw him at Concord to the point where he was literally opening cans of Coke on stage for cymbals and like rustling paper and stuff for like shakers on stage and he was playing live at the same time, like ridiculous level of control live. That was one of the most amazing sets to watch live. And I'd probably say James Blake at Festival in the Big Top. That was outstanding.
Yeah. I'm a big James Blake fan, so I get that.
Have you heard his new one?
I've heard bits of it. I haven't sat down
it's
and listened
fucking
to it.
haunting. It's fucking terrifying. Literally, if you listen through it and it was like the theme for a horror film, it wouldn't sound out of place. It's that like weird.
Yeah, it's very different to his previous stuff as well, isn't it? From what I've heard so far.
Yeah, definitely.
But Eskimo, I'm pretty sure I've heard some stuff of his. He's like works with Planet Moo, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. He's really, really very unusual. I mean, Cloudlight's his big tune that came out on Ninja Tune. I'm looking at the views on it now. 3.6 mil, that came out 9 years ago. We Got More's another big one he did. But if you look at the Tiny Desk concert he does, you can see all like the things where he's like cracking stuff open as he like records live. Like he does live recording essentially. He does like Foley recording live and resamples it.
Okay.
which is
Nice.
like amazing to watch. Like especially if you've had a few and you're literally watching, like, oh my word.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check some more of his stuff out. I'm not overly aware of him, to be honest, but nice, man. That's a good list. And the three random ones. So, are you a sports fan, and do you have a favourite sports team?
I am. I'm a United fan through and through. I've been playing football my whole life. You can see clips of me up on Instagram playing 6-a-side twice a week. But yeah, I'm a lifetime United fan. So I'm obviously If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see I'm very vocal about football.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a huge fan myself. So, I'm not on Twitter much. I need to get on there a bit more, to be honest. But
Definitely, bro.
yeah, I'll get involved in some of the football debates. I'm a Liverpool fan as well, so I'm sure we've got a lot to debate about. But yeah, like if you could pick anywhere in the world for your next holiday destination, where would you go?
This is going to be an interesting one. I don't like holidays.
Do you not?
I really can't stand going on holiday. I'm a workaholic through and through, and I've got a kind of philosophy in life where I've built my day-to-day life into such a position where I enjoy every day. What I do on a day-to-day basis is what I love to do most. So leaving what I do on a day-to-day basis is actually not an enjoyable experience for me.
Fair enough. Can't argue with that, mate.
So I mean, I'm not very good in the heat either. I'm really not good in hot weather. I recently went over to the Alps to do a tour, which was quite fun. I played in Chamonix and was it Chamonix and Maribel were the two places I played, and that's gorgeous. It's gorgeous in the Alps. I've got to say that's a genuinely incredible part of the world. Maybe Scotland. I love it in Scotland as well. Places out of places I've been, the two places I've loved to go to the most have been Chamonix and Scotland. So somewhere cold, that doesn't take too long to get to, where I can take my computer.
Nice. Fair one. And like, if we rephrase it then and say, where would you most love to go on tour or do a show or something?
Canada, definitely Canada.
Nice. Okay. No,
I definitely say Canada purely because it's somewhere in the world I can't imagine myself going unless I have a reason to be there for like a week. And I feel if I was to do like a tour over there, that would be the perfect opportunity to go.
makes sense. Yeah, I like it. Nice, man. But the final one, and this, I feel a bit bad because it's brought up some terrible answers, and I've bitched
Okay,
about
let's
them
give it a
on
go. Let's try and have a good one.
every episode since, to be honest. But you can pick one sweet and one savoury, but what's the go-to snack?
Go to. Okay, this is quite a good question, to be honest. Because I was a chef for like 7 years, so this is something I'm very into food.
Yeah,
So I'd say sweet. I fucking love a trifle. I love a trifle to pieces. I've literally got a pot of trifle next to me, like one of the little ones, which I had this morning straight after my show because I've been knackered, so I wanted the sugar boost. I'd say savoury. I don't know. Savoury is a difficult one because I'm very much in the process of like weeding meat out of my diet as much as possible, and a lot of the savoury options are meaty. I don't know. I tell you what. If I could do like a kind of snack version of a meal, would that be good? Would that be a way to do it?
yeah.
So I'd say pasta, as in penne pasta, with goat's cheese, cherry tomato, chili, and basil. There we go. That's a little pot of that. That'd be my go-to savoury snack.
Sounds good. I like that. Good answers, man. But
There we go.
yeah, definitely better than some of the answers I've had. So,
Well, yeah, chips, crisps,
oh, mate,
Harry
so
Bowen,
much worse.
McDonald's chips.
So much worse. Like, again, apologies to him because I do bitch about him on every episode. But LS Dean said chocolate coated raisins, which
Grow up.
yeah,
Grow up.
that is when you're a kid and your mum hasn't been shopping for a week, and that's
Yeah, and
all
you're
that's left
scrambling in the
cupboard.
back of the cupboards going, there must be something.
Yeah, that's what you eat. But yeah, wasn't I impressed with that? And then Jolly J said those Marmite Twiglet things, and just no, like, what are you doing? Anything Marmite related is it's a no-go for me.
I don't mind Marmite.
Oh,
I'm one of a lot of people that are genuinely in the middle with Marmite, thus defeating the slogan.
like my girlfriend goes mad for it. She'll eat it on like crumpets in the morning, and I can just smell it all day. It makes me feel ill. I think it's the worst thing in the world, but each their own, I suppose. But yeah, Marmite Twiglets as a go-to snack. Like, come on, can't be done.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me, man?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Oh.
I think the line dropped again. Yeah, cool, nice one.
Nice, but yeah, please do send over those links, man, and anything that you want kind of included within the description of the video once it's up. It'll all be in there. But again, Sleepy, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on, man. Thank you very much. And
No worries at all, man. I hope I haven't waffled on for too long with my answers.
Not at all. It's been a great episode, man. I really appreciate it, and best of luck with the exciting journey that you're a part of.
Thank you, bro. I'll keep you updated. I'm sure you'll be seeing about 1,000 Instagram and Facebook posts from me a day because it seems to be all I do these days. But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I really like the platform. As I was saying earlier, literally off air before we came on, I think platforms like this, I think there's so much potential in essentially battle rap media rather than just battles itself. And I think that's why Ruin Your Day is such a good channel, because they really do push the idea of battle related content rather than just putting up battles, which is I think it's a very good thing to kind of have on the side. And I do like battle rap podcasts and everything along those lines. But yeah, I think what you're doing looks really, really good, man. Keep it up.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, and I agree as well. Between like Ruin Your Day and Battle Rap Resume, they're kind of like the influences for me to do it. And seeing as we've all got a bit of spare time at the moment, it just seemed rude not to, really.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I think, I mean, I've seen on Twitter the last few days, there's been a big kind of thing of, oh, don't push people in, don't make people feel bad for not achieving anything during this time. And it's like, that's fine. Of course, you don't have to do stuff. And I've said this multiple times, but now is the perfect time to, if you want to. That's what I've always said about it. I've got into a couple of arguments with people about it as well, but there we go.
No, agreed, man. And like, it's all a learning curve for me. I've never done anything like this before, but obviously you've put me on to a new way of doing things today as well, which I appreciate. So
oh, I'm glad to help, bro. As I was saying, anything with stuff like this that I can kind of like lend a hand with. I've always said this. I like helping people. Like eventually I do want to I want teaching to be my full-time thing very, very, like not very soon, but within a few years, I want to be teaching on a regular basis. So, I like helping people out. I like consulting with people and like having like advice sessions and stuff like that. So yeah, man, it's been a good one. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. No, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you very much. And again, best of luck with everything you've got going on, man.
No worries at all, man. Thank you for having me on. Let's go.
Days. Stay safe anyway, man. Take care.
Bless.